We got
Bring it
my
on,
man
man.
coming up. So our next fans journey is going to be with Real Shift. If you guys do not know who he is a very, very heavy hitter when it comes to reviewing movies. He gives in-depth analysis of movies, films, TV shows, whatever you can think of. That's this guy, and he doesn't pick a side. If it's trash or he thinks it's trash, he gonna tell you it's trash. If it's good, he's gonna tell you it's good, but he's also gonna break down why he thinks it's good or bad. So Real Shift Joe, we're about to bring him on now. Everybody, welcome to the stage, my man.
What is
Real
going
Shift.
on?
Welcome,
up,
buddy. Welcome to the platform.
What's up, guys? How you doing? What's up to the chat? Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
100%, man.
I've been looking forward to this. I haven't done a live stream in a little bit, so yeah. I don't get a lot of collaborations with other creators, so I tend to upset other creators more than I do anything else.
Oh, we go get
We're gonna talk about that.
But,
we gonna get into it, bro.
Yeah. But it's nice to be welcomed onto someone else's platform. I really appreciate that. So thank you for having me. Yeah.
You're very much welcome, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So, man, we're gonna dive into it. Obviously, look at the man's wall on the background. Homie is a cinephile. I don't care what anybody says.
That is an incredible collection.
He is a cinephile. Now, it looks like back there you collect all forms of media. So not just DVDs and Blu-rays, but you go old school with the VHSs and all other kind of stuff, right?
I specialize in VHS because that was the medium that I grew up with and that I have a lot of love for. So yeah, I love VHS cover art. Like really, that's really what it comes down to. Like to me, DVDs and Blu-rays, they don't compare as far as the cover art goes. It's just like there is no comparison. So I felt since I'm starting a movie channel, why not display the collection I have? And it's just grown and grown over the years because I'm still collecting. So it's just like I thought there was no better way to show off how much I love movies than to put this behind me. So
that is absolutely incredible, my friend. Absolutely incredible.
There we go. There we go. All right, man. Let's dive right into it. Number one question, bro.
Okay, I'm on the
what
hot
was
seat
your
now.
first cinematic experience as a kid?
My first cinematic experience.
Where you were blown away.
Oh, where I was just blown away. Okay,
blown away.
That's
the
a little bit.
One standout for you as a kid growing up.
That's a little bit better. To be quite honest with you, because I always think about what my first experience was, and I don't really remember, honestly enough, because I went to the movies so much as a kid. Like it was like a staple with my family. Like every week we go to the movies, basically. So, but I do know that like one of the things that stood out to me most, believe it or not, was it was going to see a movie at the movie theater that I had already seen 1,000 times, but it was when they re-released the original Star Wars trilogy in the theater. It was back right before the prequels came out, and I specifically remember my dad taking me to go see A New Hope in the theater.
Oh, that's right, they did.
Yeah, and it actually like I was already a huge Star Wars fan, but it made me even more of a Star Wars fan just to see this movie I had grown to love already as a kid up on the big screen like that. It could, and plus it had the new scenes, which is.
I was going to say that was like the special editions, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit controversial because of that. It probably could have done without that part, but to be quite honest, like that moment, I think was the time when like I fully appreciated movie theaters because it was like, man, it's just such a different experience for me. I talk about this on my channel all the time, like the theater experience. I could watch a bad movie in the movie theater and have a good time. Like I can, like, you know what I mean? It's everybody thinks I'm angry and that I hate everything that I do. And it's not that at all. Like I just love the theater experience. I really do. And that one always stands out to me for some reason. I don't know how old I was at that time. I guess I was, I was around 10, right? Yeah. Something like that. I know I had been to movies prior to that, but that was the first time I really appreciated it, I think. Like,
so are you a big Star Wars fan? Is that like one of your favorite? Yeah.
Everybody was. Let's pour a little bit out for that one. Star Wars.
I am an original trilogy and prequel fan, and that's about it. It's 6 movies, and then I don't care.
Dude, I totally hear you on that. I'm gonna ask you though, because I was actually talking about this last week with Bat Dan. Have you ever seen the despecialized edition of A New Hope?
Yes. Yes,
You have
no,
seen it.
no.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
Well, yeah, I saw it on VHS. So yeah, I had the VHS growing up. So
So I'll be honest, I can't remember as a
Uh-huh.
kid watching the VHS. All I actually ever remember was seeing the DVD because that's what
Okay.
I had access to back then.
Gotcha.
But those all had the special edition scenes. But the despecialized edition, I didn't realize that they actually had a version of that on VHS.
They did. They did.
Wow. Okay.
Like you're talking about like before he added the scenes, or are you talking about they took
Okay.
the scenes back out?
So I'm talking about the way the movie was originally presented in theaters in 1977.
1977.
As far as I know, that was the original VHS that I had. Yes, yeah, because
Okay.
it was the old poster. It wasn't like the special
So
editions and all that. Like,
how about this then? Was Emperor Palpatine, was he the original design, or was he the way he looks now?
the original design,
The original,
like a monkey eye or whatever.
Yeah,
in front of it.
yeah. So I like I said, I had never had the opportunity to see that growing up, and when I got my hands on the despecialized edition Blu-ray project that the fans had done, that was absolutely phenomenal. And I always try to recommend that to people who are fans of Star Wars in case they haven't seen it. So that's kind of why I dropped that
those
one.
versions because that's what I grew up with. Like my mom was a massive Star Wars fan actually, so like she had like she was around when they first came out, obviously. So like she had collected all the original toys and all the stuff. And then she kind of like passed that love on to me. And A New Hope is her favorite movie, like of all time. So, so yeah, like that love got passed on to me. And yeah, I specifically remember the old school versions because now when I see them, because I see like clips and stuff on YouTube, I'm like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
like, it's almost it triggers it in me. Like, yeah, that's the version I grew up with. Yeah. I wasn't all about George Lucas changing things as much love as I had for him. I think he went a little overboard with that stuff, but I'd still love to have him back now more than anything.
I think we all would.
Yeah. So
Come
yeah,
back, please.
yeah, please.
Yep. All right. Well, that actually answers question number 2 that I was going to ask, because I was going to say what I'm going to assume that Star Wars was the film that pretty much solidified you wanting to be a similar, just like into movies and talking about movies and all that other kind of stuff.
Well, to be honest with you, it kind of went in stages for me because as a kid, like of course I watched like kid movie stuff, like Disney movies and stuff like that, like the old Disney movies when they were good. But like I also grew up watching a lot of Schwarzenegger movies, so like that was like a huge part of my because my family was just a huge fan of his. So like we watched.
You're probably talking to one of the biggest Terminator fans ever.
Bro, look, let me tell you something, man. Even the bad ones. Look, it's when you love an IP. You love an IP. I don't know any other way to explain it, man. I know those movies.
So you even like the bad Terminators?
Yeah, I hated number 3, man. But see, I'm the type of person where I'm like you, so I can pull good elements out of a bad movie.
Yeah,
I can see where parts of it was good.
Yeah,
I can see parts way the other parts were bad. That's what keeps me like, okay, I'm not just gonna abandon it.
But you can appreciate it for what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But after, when it's like, so number 1, 1984 is my all-time favorite sci-fi horror of anything of all time. I love that movie. And my wife just got it for me on 4K. So
nice.
Yeah. So so that's my shit right there. And then I got number 2, and then I got number 4.
Okay.
So I got Salvation.
Right?
Salvation.
Salvation was awesome. I love that one.
Yeah, I like that.
Are my favorite ones. Number 3, I couldn't get with I couldn't do the talk to the hand stuff in the strip club.
Yeah, they went a little goofy.
I was just like, no, and then the Terminator growing boobs to confuse the cop so he can get. I was like, nah, man, y'all lost me with that, bro.
Definitely a product of the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, how did you feel about Dark Fate though? Because that broke me. Like Dark Fate broke me. Like,
yeah. So I'll tell you what. Out of the 2 worst possible movies in that whole run, which was Dark Fate and Genesis. Yeah, I like Dark Fate better. I hated Genesis.
I guess that's kind of understandable because at least Dark Fate tried to do something like kind of interesting, but like in Genesis was just.
See, I always thought it was a missed opportunity not bringing Christian Bale back and letting him lead the franchise.
I agree.
You know,
he didn't have a great experiance though. I don't think making the first one.
I remember the stories.
he was going off, bro.
As much as I love Christian Bale, I think he's after Batman. I don't see him. Well, I don't know. He did do Thor for some reason. I don't know why he did that either. But
I thought he was a good John Connor. Really.
He was.
Yeah.
I remember specifically when I heard that casting announcement. I remember. It was me and my dad were talking about it actually, and he was like, "Oh, Christian Bale just got cast as John Connor." I was like, "Are you serious? Like, that's perfect." Like, I remember hearing that for the first time very vividly. And yeah, I did dig the movie. I think it is the third best Terminator movie. It's easily. Yeah, I would say. Yeah. So,
wait, could I ask real quick? Did you get the opportunity to see the Netflix anime?
I didn't. I'm
going to tell you, and Charles will tell you the same thing. You have to watch it. Okay. It is very, very good.
And keep this in mind, Joe. I'm not into cartoons, bro.
Me neither.
That's
why I haven't watched it. Yeah.
I'm not an anime guy either.
Yeah. I don't do that, but I was like, you know what? It reminded me of the cartoons I used to watch back in the day, like your Ghost in the Machines and your from way back in the 80s. So it kind of had that feel to it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah.
Barring it's a cartoon, the storyline is actually pretty
really
good.
Really good.
Yeah,
you would definitely.
This is where this storyline is where they should have taken live action.
Okay.
If you watch it.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot.
Bro.
I'm not a big anime guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, people try to get me into it, and I just never could. But with something like Terminator, there's a little bit extra interest there for me. So yeah, I'll give it a shot. Yeah,
give it a shot.
I thought about that one, and I thought about the Godzilla one because I heard good things about that too on Netflix. Is there a Godzilla on Netflix still?
Is there a?
I haven't. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think there's a Netflix Godzilla anime, but I'm not sure.
I think the last anime I got to actually watch on Netflix was the Tomb Raider. I watched a few episodes of that.
Okay, all right.
But I did watch the entire thing of Terminator. That was phenomenal.
It's not that I'm against animation. It's just I don't know. It just doesn't speak to me in the way that live action does.
You know what the thing is with that, though, in my opinion, is that there are ways that they can tell a story in animation that they can't necessarily do in live action.
That's true.
And I think Terminator, I think it was called Terminator Zero. Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
Terminator Zero. They definitely took advantage of some of that. So,
yeah,
like I said, if you're a Terminator fan, I think.
Now, Rox, let me ask you a question. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just the media, the form of medium, and that's why they're able to tell a better story in animation?
You know what? We've talked about my opinions on storytelling and the ability. You just have so much more ability to tell better stories through a television show than in just like a 2-hour movie.
Oh, so you mean just in general,
character development because it's because of exactly. You're much more invested in the characters, I think, because of the amount of character development behind getting to see their journey throughout 13 or 22 episodes or whatever it is. When it comes to film, you're very limited. You know what I mean? It's an hour and a half. It's 2 hours. You only have so much time to develop the characters, in my opinion, right? So that's what it is for me, especially with like I said, a franchise with the Terminator, like the Terminator.
Yeah.
You really get to experience. Oh man, how do I want to word this? You really get to experience much better storytelling because there's more. That's the best way I could put it. I'm sorry.
I would agree with that. I think a lot of TV shows have thrived with the expanded runtime, just for the reason that I also think it has become to a detriment of some TV shows because they try to stretch things out when they shouldn't. Like I've seen that in TV shows also, but I think the reason I'm like more of a movie guy as opposed to like a series guy is because I want the 2-hour experience and then I want to move on.
You want to move? Like, a lot of people are like that, bro. I totally get it. I don't want to be committed to something for long stretches of time. I like a series has to be really, really good in order for me to stick with it. Dude, I totally hear you on that. Like, it takes a lot for me to actually invest myself into something because we all got lives. We're busy people, man. Like, it's a lot running a YouTube channel. I got a day job. I got 2 kids. You know what I mean? I got a whole life, right? But your time is very limited. So when you do invest your time into something like a TV show, you want it to be good. One of the last shows I watched because we did a review on it on our channel, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing me rave about it, but Superman and Lois, I absolutely fell in love with that show.
That. Yeah,
that's another one I will recommend to you.
Okay, all right.
If yeah,
a couple people tried to get me to watch that. Yeah, and I didn't.
Hulkling, he balanced that Clark Superman, that father man. He balanced that role out.
I binged the entire series just last month. Okay, the whole series, and I am beating myself.
Too, isn't it?
4 seasons, and
that's it.
Yeah, and I think the first 2 seasons I think were like 13, 14 episodes, and I think the last 2 seasons they were a bit shorter. I think they were like 12 tops. But I binged that entire series, and again, it was one of those things where just you get so much more time with a character like Superman that I absolutely fell in love with this version of the character, his family, this version of Lois, his kids, everything. It was such a great show. And I'm beating myself up for not watching it when it actually came out, like I was one of those guys. I was very critical. I don't think this is for me, blah blah blah. And now I watch it, it's like, damn, I missed out. Damn.
Well, CW has like a stigma to it, so it's like, you don't really want to take it too seriously. But to be honest, I saw the amount of people who were upset when it got canceled. And it kind of made me like, maybe I should give it a shot. Like
that's exactly what it was for me. Exactly what it was. I saw the outcry, and I'm like, okay, this has to be good. Like if people are fighting this hard, and supporting this show through this cancellation, it's like, damn, I was not let down. And if you're a Superman fan, bro, I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I might get around to that at some point then too. Yeah, because it's something I'm definitely interested in. So
yeah. All right, number 3. Who's your favorite film director, my friend, and why?
Well, I mean, if anybody watches my videos, you probably already know this, but it's Quentin Tarantino is my favorite film director.
I knew he was gonna say it. I was like, watch him. I was like, watch him say Quentin Tarantino.
In my opinion, the only director who's never made a bad movie. That's just my opinion, but he's got a perfect record as far as I'm concerned. He's also the person.
He's a master of deconstruction, especially when it comes to that type of film.
Yes, he really is. He really is. And he's also the person that actually I credit with getting me back into movies after I had taken a hiatus from it for quite some time. I think whenever Kill Bill came out, I don't remember. It was around 2000. I want to say 7. I don't know, 6, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but that movie actually got me back into real like filmmaking type stuff, like where I was like, all right, like it pulled me back in because I was like, oh, Quentin's making a movie because he had taken a hiatus too, like during that time. Our hiatuses weren't organized to be like together, but it just so happened that's how it worked out. And Kill Bill actually brought me back in, and then my love of movies kind of like reblossomed from there. And then that's what. And I went back and started watching things that I had missed and stuff like that. Because when you're a teenager, you kind of get other interests and you kind of just you move on to other stuff, and that's kind of what happened. But Quentin, he's just my guy. Like I don't know. I've talked about him extensively. I just love everything about what he does. He's the type of guy who you could tell that he loves movies. You could tell that he loves making movies. I know he gets a lot of crap because he tends to borrow things from people, but I love that about him. I love the fact that he takes from his influences and puts them into his movies and then puts his own spin on them. Like, I think great directors should do that, to be quite honest with you. So it's definitely Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, I would say is my all-time favorite director.
So what would be your favorite film by him? I know you did say Kill Bill, but is that one your favorite?
No, it's actually it's Pulp Fiction is probably my favorite, but a very close second, and people are surprised when I say that.
Right there,
right, exactly. It just had its anniversary actually. Pulp Fiction is easily probably my favorite movie. Period. I don't know if that's one of your questions, but I might have just stepped on that. But Pulp Fiction is probably my favorite movie. Period. But a close second is actually Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I know is a controversial opinion to some, but I love that movie. It's gotten better every single time that I watched it. So
I have to watch that then. I every time I see it, I'm like, I need to watch this movie because
go into it with an
you're not the only
mind.
one. Everybody else says it's good. So
definitely go into it with an open mind, and it's probably not what you expect it to be. But if you actually, take the time and think about what he's doing, I think it's brilliant. I honestly think it's a modern masterpiece, to be quite honest. Like, yeah. So that's probably 1A and 1B for
I'm
me.
trying to remember if I've seen that one. Who was in that one?
It's DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie are the top three.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I did see that like maybe once a while ago.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm with Charles. I'm going to have to rewatch that one.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. Inglorious Bastards is the third.
I love that one.
Yeah. That's probably third on my list. So yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that's probably my top 3 right there for Tarantino.
Awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. My fourth question for you, and this is a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to review film? And what do you think the state of film review is? Do you think it's dead? Honest film review.
Yeah. Well, I have a whole series of videos I do on my channel called Film Criticism is Dead. So, and it's not meant to be this broad stroke like statement by me, like everybody is a fraud, even though that's how some people take it. It's not really what I mean. When I say that, I refer to people who are very clearly putting their personal biases and their personal whatever narratives, whatever you want to call it, are influencing their opinion. And you could tell the difference. You could tell when someone's being genuine and when someone's being, not so genuine, when they're going on the attack. Like, that's not criticism to me. Going on the attack is not criticism. You should be breaking down what you see in the movie and not letting outside influences influence your whole view on the movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of film criticism is lacking. If you go on Rotten Tomatoes, most of the reviews, not most, I'll say a good portion of them, you can tell that there's a clear bias there, one way or the other, either good or bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I always point people back to the Rebel Moon, or the Rebel Moon video that I did of Film Criticism is Dead. And I didn't even like Rebel Moon. I'll say that right. I didn't like it. But what I saw critics attacking that movie just because it was Zack Snyder, not because of what they were saying in the movie. They're attacking the fans.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to criticize the movie, then criticize the movie. But I saw a lot of people just going after the fandom, going after Zack himself, and it just rubs me the wrong way. And I hate when people do that.
No, I hear you 100. It's about like, you got to criticize the story, you criticize the plot, you like legitimate criticism, not this director is a hack and I don't like him. Yes. And that's what you tend to get a lot of with Zack Snyder.
You get that from professional critics now. Like, you're supposed to be professional.
Which makes you question, which makes you beg the question.
Right.
Do you really like movies? Or are you just getting paid to throw your personal spin on stuff? I mean,
a lot of it seems paid, yes. And that kind of leads into my second response to your other question. Why did I start doing this? To be quite honest with you, like, I'm fairly new to YouTube. I think I only started watching YouTube around probably 2016. I haven't been watching it my whole life. I actually started watching it around The Last Jedi. It was kind of that time where I was like, is this movie as bad as I think it is? And I was looking for other people's opinions to see if they matched up with mine. And it was that kind of thing. But throughout the general course of things, the more people I watched, the less it became clear to me who I could trust and who I couldn't trust. It was like, I saw even the people that I started to like, I started to dislike, because it was like, I don't know if I could take this person seriously in their word, because the things they are saying don't feel like genuine film criticism to me. So basically, the reason I started my own channel is that I just wanted to get back to that. I wanted to do what I wasn't seeing get done on YouTube. Basically, is basically what it came down to, and it does come down to basically 2 movies that kind of made me kind of want to do this. One was The Last Jedi, and the other was Batman versus Superman for different reasons. I saw people attacking Batman versus Superman for reasons other than what was in the movie. And it was very telling to me, and getting personal about it too. That was another thing that rubbed me the wrong way. And then The Last Jedi for the opposite reason. I saw people praising it and I was like, I don't get it. I've been a longtime Star Wars fan and I can't take anything in this movie seriously. Like, it doesn't even feel like Star Wars to me. Like, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it was just a combination of things, and me just seeing other content creators kind of shilling or hating unnecessarily. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. And that's what happened, basically.
So you said it was 2016 when you started watching YouTube. When was it that you started your channel?
Probably 2017. It took a matter of a year for me to be like, let me do this myself.
Yeah.
And I started my channel with 5 other people, and I'm the only one left. So
only the strong survive this game, my friend.
Yeah.
Only the strong survive.
It was originally actually like a podcast format, and there was like 5 of us. But
wow,
they didn't want to put in the work, basically.
Yeah.
And I knew what I wanted the channel to be, and they couldn't get with that vision, so I just moved on without them. And now I'm by myself, and I'm doing better than I ever have. So
hey, you're doing your thing, man. That's phenomenal, man.
Before we move on to the next question, I want to go ahead and shout out my partner Costello's Way, aka Sergeant Riggs. He said, shout out to my partners in crime, the audience, and to you, Joe. Sorry I could not make it tonight. Have a great show, guys. We appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Shout out to Costello's Way with the $4.99 super chat. He is going to get a drop right quick. Here we go.
Hashtag simple.
Oops.
Hashtag simple Phil. If you know, you know.
The clip was so good, he wanted to play it again. I like that scene too.
Awesome. All right, let's see here. Speaking of Zack Snyder, of his filmography, what would you consider your favorite film of his, in your opinion, and why?
This is a hard one.
Okay. So Dawn of the Dead, 300, Sucker Punch, Watchmen, obviously Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League. Where do you land on that?
I prefer
not a film. Let me rephrase it. What would you consider his most iconic film that says, yeah, that's Zack Snyder right there?
Gotcha. Well, I prefer Zack Snyder when he has a foundation to build from. I'm not as big of a fan of his original movies, actually, which is strange for me to say because I prefer originality in my movies. But for whatever reason, I like when Zack has a foundation and he's able to build from it, like he did with DC, like he did with 300. Like he has the source material and then he makes it his own kind of thing. Like I like that about him. That's where I think he's in his sweet spot. Like, you know what I mean? Where he can focus on directing more so than coming up with the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that I think he's a bad storyteller. I just think he's more of a visual storyteller than he is words on the page. So I prefer I prefer that side of him. And I would say for me, it's probably Watchmen. Honestly,
that's what I knew you were going to say. Watchmen. Yeah.
And the reason for that, actually, it's a funny story. First time I watched Watchmen, I didn't even like it, but I watched it a couple of times after that, and I was like, what the hell was I thinking? Like the more I watched that movie, the deeper it got, and I was just like, the better it got, and I was like, this is like a masterpiece. Like this is like the deconstruction of the superhero done the right way. This is like, that's what everybody wants to do. They want to deconstruct everything, right? Like but Zack actually did it before it was cool. And it was like, and he did it the best, honestly. Like, and this might be controversial. I actually think he made the comic better. Like, and I know the Watchmen is, a very popular comic and people have a lot of love for it, but like the minor changes he made to it, I liked all of it. I just think it's a phenomenal movie and it doesn't get nearly enough credit that it deserves. And I would have to say it was Watchmen. Yeah.